know, and this is what the vast majority of people out here do not understand, is that big tech, I want to make this big here, big tech is not about serving humanity. Big tech is about having humanity serve them. Good morning, everyone. This is Shauna once again, and I'm doing a quick video that I've been wanting to get off my chest for a while, and it's called EUV, the machine that will enslave the world while ending your privacy and dignity. And what you're looking at here is a picture of an EUV lithography unit, and what that stands for is extreme ultraviolet lithography. And I worked for a particular big tech company, and I walked by these machines on a daily basis. And if you've had the privilege of working in the industry, you've likely encountered these things, and you know how expensive they are. And as a technologist and someone who's been in science and technology all of her life and career, it's amazing what we humans have figured out how to do with this EUV machine. What you're looking at is a really nice graphic of the inner workings of the design of the machine, and it's fantastic what they've done with it. And if you understand lithography and things like that, you know what's going on here with the laser, with the light that's doing the lithograph of the wafer, right? That's imprinting the chips. And over here you've got all the robotic mechanisms that take out the wafers and stuff like that. So it's really amazing that we can do all this stuff. But you got to remember that this is a business. This machine here, when I worked for that particular company, it was quoted that these machines cost like $300 to $400 million a piece. And you can only assume that they've put billions of dollars of research into these machines, right? And I did a quick Google search, and it said these machines start at like $180 million and could eventually cost up to $700 million. So these machines create basically gates at really small levels, semiconductor gates. That's why we have these ridiculous amount of cores and chips these days in computers, because the lithography is so tight now. We're down into the angstrom lengths of the gates, right? And that's why we have these powerful processors. But all that's fine and dandy and great, but this chunk of metal here and is like $400 million. And if this thing is not making money, this whole industry is losing billions of dollars. So these machines, as well as the other legacy lithography machines and all the environment and ecosystem around lithography, are in these huge semiconductor fabs. And if you know this fab, you know what this fab is. I actually worked at this fab, so I've worked in here, and I know what the industry is about. So these machines are in these huge buildings, and these buildings are billions and billions of dollars of cost. So what I'm getting at really quickly, to get to the point, big tech is now at a point where it's making up artificial markets to keep these buildings profitable. Big tech has put so much money into these EUV machines, these next generation machines for lithography, that these things need to be making money. And if they're not, they lose billions and billions and billions of dollars, right? So they are willing to enslave humanity, right? This is why we are having AI shoved down our throats, because you can only sell so many smartphones. You can only saturate the market with so many smart this and smart that and IoT this and IoT that and gimmicks after gimmicks. This is why they're shoving AI down their throats, so they can make an artificial market for data centers, so they can make microchips and memory and all that kind of stuff, right? That is why we are having blockchain being pushed. Blockchain requires a lot of calculation. There's some blockchain that supposedly don't do that, but the fundamental thing of blockchain is encryption and calculation, and you need computers to do that, right? So that feeds back into, hey, let's build more microchips using all these processes, right? That is why we're having AI cameras go up. We're now at a cannibal, cancerous point where they have to sell microchips, and they have to put microchips into everything. And now we need to have biometric AI scanning surveillance because of big tech. All right? That's why, IoT was starting to become a thing back in like 2015, 2016, and it really didn't catch on, but they're trying to shove IoT, the Internet of Things, on the whole humanity. These people will literally justify putting QR codes and microchips on anything and everything they can. I mean, it's absurd that my washing machine and my toaster and my monitor and these people are so insane that they'll probably start justifying that telephone poles and curbs and everything needs to have a microchip and be connected to the internet. And very importantly, that is why everything is being taken into the SaaS business model, the software as a service, because they need to put microchips in everything to keep these factories going and to pay off these EUV machines. That's why we're turning into an own-nothing society, because they need to rent everything out for the new business model. And that turns, not only software dominance, because you're making money through the SaaS model, but it funnels back to we need to make microchips to put microchips in everything, right? Again, this feeds into robotics and why automation are now being pushed. True, it's due to market efficiencies and the demand for capitalists to make as much money as possible by getting rid of humans. And again, robots and automation need microchips and memory and circuit boards and all that kind of stuff, right? And that's why we're still having IoTs trying to be pushed, why my toaster needs to be connected to the internet. That's why we have big data, because all that data they need from all you people out there to funnel it into their huge data centers to put it through AI. And AI machine, the servers and all that, all the computational hardware for AI and all that stuff, where does it come from? All that is based from lithography chips and semiconductor fabs. And that's, again, this is why we have the freemium. That's why the freemium base model came about, is because big tech needs all your data and they give it to you for free and they make you the product, because they take all that data and then they run it into their economy, their ecosystem. And I've said it again and again, big tech has to make artificial markets to stay profitable and dominant. They are now driving the market, not creating it. I've said in a previous video of mine, peak innovation. We've passed. Humanity's pretty much past peak innovation. We've reached so much innovation that any more real and true novel innovation and utility is so small. I mean, you can only make a TV so high def. You can only make sound so high def. You can only bring a product or service to a point and you get no real true improvement. It's just a gimmick. And we are now at the gimmick phase of big tech. And you got to remember, all of this tech is just business. It has nothing to do with improving the material conditions of humanity. Right? And I've put this quote here. I'm probably the first one to coin it. Big tech is not about serving humanity. Big tech is about having humanity serve them. Right? And you can go quote me on this, and I'll probably go see it on the web. And so this is an unsustainable business model for human freedom, let alone climate change, right? Because these centers are like data centers on steroids. These fabs need god-awful amounts of water and electricity to work. And, they do a very good job about keeping the environment clean. I will give the industry that. They're very meticulous on that. But these things are just so energy and resource intensive. They require all these crazy chemicals that I won't get into to make your chips and microchips, right? So from not just avoiding the climate change and environmental sustainability point, this is an unsustainable business model for human freedom, because big tech has to create a utopia to stay profitable. You can't have free humans. Sorry, I'm stumbling here. These EUV machines All these fabs, all these machines that you see here in this picture of this clean room, all these buildings need microchips to be sold or they go broke. And the only way you do that is you start displacing humans, right? That's the only way this is going to happen. They're displacing humans. All these right-wing nut jobs who talk about the great replacement theory about, immigrants, you're wrong. You are absolutely wrong. It's big tech that is the true great replacement theory, because they're displacing you with AI and robots and automation so they can power and keep their dominance on their semiconductor fabs and EUV and legacy lithography systems, right? And we're screwed. For lack of a better terms here that I wrote, we're fucked. Humanity has just let big tech get too ingrained in our social, technological, and financial systems and power. Right now, a huge part of our financial system is tied up in big tech, the Magnificent Seven. If you go look at your 401ks or your stocks or your mutual funds, they're hugely invested in, Microsoft, Amazon, Intel, AMD, what is that company? Texas Instruments. I'm off the top of the head. I'm rattling off all the semiconductors and big tech companies. Apple, Micron. They're all heavily invested in them. And if this industry takes a huge hit, our financial system is going to take a huge hit. So we're fucked. We've backed ourselves into this corner, and we're all going to pay the price. We are all going to pay the price. We are all being manufactured into a digital blockchain slave society. We're being pushed into blockchain. We're being pushed into own nothing. We're being pushed into the software as a service business model. We're being pushed into big data. And AI is being shoved down our throats. Not because we asked for it. It's because big tech needs it. They have to have it to stay profitable. You think big tech is going to let this big chunk of metal worth $400 million lose money? No. And this is what the vast majority of people out here do not understand, is that big tech, I want to make this big here, big tech is not about serving humanity. Big tech is about having humanity serve them. We are now in the gimmick stage and what do they call it? They call it fast fashion, right? We're now in fast fashion technology, right? Because this thing has to churn out microchips for big tech to stay profitable and in market dominance. So I'm out here telling the truth. No one likes to hear the truth. Everyone loves, I love my computers. I love playing with Linux. I love coding. I love playing with hard drives and playing with RAM. I love the computer industry, but I don't like what this insanity that big tech is driving us into. You can call me a very idealistic person. We should be using technology to benefit humanity, not enslave it. But this is where we're being driven into. One of my key phrases is saying that we are being driven into an AI, blockchain, surveillance state, own nothing social economic system. We are going to be nothing more than a digital blockchain slave to keep semiconductor fabs churning out chips and these EUV machines profitable. And I'm going to say it one more time to end the video. Big tech is not about serving humanity. Big tech is about having humanity serve them.